And we're back! Yay! Day 2 of live. I think I have a better handle on it now. First, let's find our filter. Let's see here. I'm not seeing any good ones, really. Whoa. Oh, that's way too happy for a scary movie. There's not a lot of options. I guess I'm just gonna do what I did yesterday. Alright. Here we are. Let's see here. Oh!
Hello, Cat. Did you miss me?
No.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Haven't we already done this? Like, didn't we just do this yesterday?
Things change. You might have a new answer.
No, it's still Scream.
Damn. What's your favorite sequel?
Favorite sequel, huh? I'm gonna go with Thor Ragnarok, even though it's like the third in a trilogy. I think it still counts.
God damn it, Cat. Why won't you love me?
I don't know, because you're a serial killer? Just a wild guess.
Do you want to talk Scream 2 tonight, Cat, or not?
No.
Do you want to die, Cat?
No. I was just saying I want to talk about Scream 2 and Scream 3.
Oh.
I definitely don't want to die.
Oh, okay. Let's do it.
So you are Ghostface. I knew it. I knew it the whole time.
What? No, that's preposterous. No. You've just seen too many movies.
Okay, that's some really bad logic.
I mean, it works in Scream 2, maybe, maybe not. Let's talk about it because we are talking about Scream movies all week long. Scream Week, baby. And this is day 2 of day 4 of Scream movies with friends. And I am your co-host, Randy, aka Andy Greene. And we have Rat Bloodybone, aka Cat Pettibone.
Is that my serial killer name? I hate it. Get it away. No, I reject.
I just wanted to say rat and see your face.
I reject.
Okay, objection sustained? Yeah, sure. Overruled? Whatever the good thing is.
Whatever. We're not lawyers. It's fine.
You win. You win. So we're talking Scream 2 and Scream 3 because you said you were going to say that there wasn't a lot to talk about, but I disagree.
It's not that there's not a lot to talk about. It's just that I feel like they can be bundled. Like, I really like Scream 2. And Scream 3 I don't, but there's a lot to criticize in Scream 3, but I feel like that is like the throwaway movie of the 4, and there are like so many specific things to just focus on in 1 and 4. I felt like if any 2 could be bundled, it's these 2.
Well, let's bundle, like the old cable companies used to. And I think for me, I liked both of them. And I think I have more to say about these movies because the first one's just great. Like, there's what is there to say about a great movie? Sometimes it's hard to like come up with amazing things to say. And like, Scream is one of the best movies ever, your favorite horror movie. And I was afraid if I got too into it that you would not be here for round 2. So now... You
were afraid to criticize? Was there anything that you would have criticized?
No. There's nothing to criticize about Scream. It's exactly the movie that it aims to be.
Right.
And I think Scream 2 and 3 maybe aren't that. But to me, this franchise is the gift that keeps on giving from a cast perspective. And for someone that I don't actually... A surprise for me was I don't think I had seen Scream 2 after all, or I at least didn't remember the most important part. Kat, what's the most important part about Scream 2? What's the most important part? Don't say it.
Don't make me say it. Don't make me say it.
Pacey's in Scream 2.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Randy dies. Yeah, Joshua Jackson is in Scream 2. Yes. I'm glad you enjoyed that little surprise. He makes a little cameo.
He plays himself. Can we talk?
No,
I mean,
no, whoa. No, he does not play himself. Pacey would never say the things that that character said. I highly disagree with that.
fair enough.
statement.
Maybe he's playing his urban legend character.
Okay, we'll go with that.
Yeah, we'll go with that. And there's another, Rebecca Gayheart also in this movie. Let's slow it down real quick. Scream 2, we're going to talk about that one first, but we are going to be talking about Scream 3. I don't think we'll talk long enough so you can watch Scream 3 to get ready for that segment of this, but Scream 2 is on Peacock. Scream 3 is actually on Stars. I did a free trial. I hope Kat did the same.
I rented it, but it's okay.
You rented it? Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, so Scream 2 has the best film class I've ever seen. It's got Pacey, it's got Buffy, it's got Timothy Olyphant, and then it's got your boy, Randy, who apparently is higher than Pacey in this conversation, which I don't understand.
Of course he is. Joshua Jackson is not Pacey Witter. They're two different things. Like,
fair
in the
enough.
Scream franchise, I care much more about Randy than I do about this random guy who's kind of a douchebag.
Well, to be fair, Scream is all about like that sort of reality fiction playing with it. In my head, it's Pacey, and that's sort of, the movie plays with the idea of like whether the movie or real, or what is fake or not. We don't know. That's what Kevin Williamson loves to explore in these movies, and Wes Craven. It's all just mirrors back and forth.
Well, I don't claim that, because the Pacey Witter who stood up in the classroom in season 2 of Dawson's Creek and spit in a teacher's face and stood up for Jack is not the same guy who sat there as a pretentious white male douchebag and tried to talk over a woman. Absolutely not. Pacey Witter respects women. That guy did not. So
it's true.
Period on that. Period on that.
No, I think you're right. I'm just giving you a hard time because it's fun. And I was just so overjoyed to see Sarah Michelle Gellar looking incredible, and Timothy Olyphant. Yeah, when is she not? Good point. And then this also has Portia de Rossi. What other gems in episode?
You can't talk about Scream 2 without talking about the opening scene, which has Jada Pinkett Smith and Omar Epps, which is
absolutely
another phenomenal opening scene that I personally think even rivals the first one. So, like, I have so much to say about that scene.
Okay, those
are two huge stars.
Yeah, Jada Pinkett Smith, and I think it might still be just Jada Pinkett at this point, and then Omar Epps going to the movies. They're going to see Stab. I want to see Stab. I'm going to say that 100 times. If you're playing a drinking game at home safely, keep track of that, because I love Stab. But anyway, Kat, tell me about the opening. Why do you like it so much?
Okay, I like it because, first of all, I mean, in Scream 2, and we'll get to it with Scream 3, but Scream 2, again, is written by Kevin Williamson, so he is so good at the meta of it all. So throughout Scream 2, we're still acknowledging horror outside of the actual horror movie that we're living, right? So it starts off from the get-go right there, where they acknowledge, the historical thing where we exclude Black people from horror movies, especially, up until that time. And so we open the movie with 2 Black characters who are recognizing that, and they die, which is like another stereotype, is that the Black characters always die first. So that's a little bit of a letdown, but we do also have other Black characters in the movie that both survive. So that's good. And they have names and they have a point, blah, blah, blah. But also, as far as like the horror goes, I think that, Omar Epps, his death is like kind of scary, bathroom, okay, whatever. It's Jada Pinkett's that gets me. You are in a movie theater filled with people and you are getting murdered like in plain sight, and nobody is there to help you. And it's just terrifying. And then I'm thinking about how I'm going to see this 5th movie on Thursday, and it's like, it's just
that could happen.
Like that's really scary. So like that is just like Casey's death affected me when I was little. This one affected me that moment. Like that moment stuck with me, like her dying and nobody noticing or going to help her. Like that really, really messed with me. It's scary.
I agree with you, and the way you phrased that, I'm going to circle back real quick to Omar Epps, because I just thought the knife to the ear was quite good.
I agree.
But beyond that, I totally, but I also love like Ghostface coming in his clothes and then her discovering the blood, and then sort of, yeah, the escalation of that scene is so good. And it's like
with her, she's grabbing onto him for like, thinking it's her boyfriend. You know what I mean? So that's, oof.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's so good.
And it's just like basically the dream screening. If you're the man or woman or anyone who made a horror movie, made any kind of movie, this is actually what you want, right? Everyone is just going nuts for this movie. And I agree, Miss Greene, numero 2.
Hold on, sorry to interrupt you. Just, yeah, they said, I wish Jade had a bigger role, though. Me too. I mean, you always have to kill the biggest star in the opening scene, which Scream 3 doesn't do, but we'll get to that. But I agree, but also, I mean, it's legendary, though. Sorry, continue.
Oh, yeah, no. I think it's like, it is that thing. It's like mob mentality. Everyone is so into it. No one is paying attention. And also, it's sort of, you see so many people play killing each other throughout the whole thing. I mean, it opens with basically people running after each other with knives. And that is kind of the point of these movies, is it like, or at least what it's playing with, the idea of desensitizing violence through media, through movies. And this movie is sort of just keeps bouncing it back at us. And it's I think very clever and smart, and also terrifying, like you said, because I could totally see this at like a Star Wars movie, someone with like a lightsaber, like actual sword, killing someone, and no one would notice until it takes her to go up to the fucking front. And in a way, it feels like it's Jada, you know, making the final coda to the, you know, the black issue in horror movies, and sort of like, unfortunately, she does die. And I think that was why I was a little bit conflicted about the scene. I was like, wait, we're going to call out the problem, but then we're just going to do it anyway. Okay.
And again, yes, like I said, I do agree with that, but I do think it is aided a little bit in the fact that they do have other black characters within the film that have names and like are part of like the main story, although they disappear in the third movie, but at least they existed in the second one.
Well, the third movie has, one guy who he's the actor who plays Randy. He's Ricky.
Yeah, he dies.
Yeah.
Like, and he barely has any significance. Well, none of the characters, whatever. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Oh, you hate Scream 3. I love it.
I hate it. I hate it so much. I really, like, it's really about to go off when we get there. So I want to praise Scream 2 before we get there. So.
Yeah, okay. So Scream 2, I think if anything, it was sort of playing into the fact that, this is not what we should be doing to open this movie, but like the self-awareness allows it to be, I guess, okay. And also, I think it definitely was a response to the first one, which I'm sure everyone was like, this movie's great, but it's the most white movie ever. So what the fuck? And then I think Kevin Williamson wanted to address that and had to. And he does that with other things, like the rules of the first movie, people, poking holes like star 6-9, call back, hang up, all the different like things, which I appreciate how like immediately someone calls Sydney and she just immediately star 6-9.
The caller ID, which is so fun to watch those kind of things with the landline and the caller ID. And you're like, oh my God, it is truly the 90s. But yeah, I think he's really tuned in on like he's always very aware. That's why he's so meta and self-referential. Like he just understands like how to write that in such a clever way. So yeah, I do think it was that. But I also think just the horror landscape in the 90s in general and it got worse in the early 2000s. And we talked about this yesterday, just like there were just a lot of like, not just in the horror genre, but it's just like, it became very, very white. And so, and I do think that I know what he does it better. And I Know What You Did Last Summer, or at least the sequel. It's the sequel. He has Brandy as a main character, and she survives the entire film, and she's a total badass. And I think that he's a little bit more successful there with like fixing that problematic narrative. But, he went for it here. So that's at least something that other filmmakers weren't even, I don't think, addressing, in the same way.
Yeah, and we have a question. We have a question from Miscreants numero dos again, and we did record the Scream discussion. It is on Kat's page, actually. You can find it there now, but it will be living on YouTube. It will be posted tomorrow when we take a break to soak in all these Screams that we've had and prepare for Scream 4, because Kat has been hyping me on Scream 4 and I've never seen it, so I'm very excited.
Real good.
But we got to talk about Stab again, because in this opening scene we see who they cast as Drew Barrymore, Heather Graham, and what a great choice. And what did you think of all the Stab casting in this movie?
Oh, well, I thought it was really funny because it goes back and it references the first movie, which
Of
again is
course.
really nice with continuity. So I believe Tatum says, I really want to be played by Heather Graham. I think it's Heather Graham that she says she wants to be played by, but and then obviously they make it Casey. I'm pretty sure that's who it is. And then, Sydney says, knowing my luck, I'll be played by Tori Spelling. And then she is played by Tori Spelling, which I think is absolutely brilliant. And kudos to Tori Spelling for like having that kind of sense of humor and being willing to do that. That's great.
Oh yeah, no,
Um,
it was awesome.
yeah. And then, yeah, I love how they played out the scene. Luke Wilson was great as Billy, and they were
He
just able to,
wins. He wins in my
yes,
mind. He was the
when he's
best
like,
Steve.
dope. And it's just that perfect. I mean, they play the scene. The dialogue is almost identical, but they're able to twist it so that it's like they find the humor in what was originally like an actually really like harrowing and horrible scene. So I just really like whatever Wes Craven was doing to like get that out of the tone was really really good. I enjoyed all of that very much, very very much.
Me too. And I love the reference to David Schwimmer as playing Dewey off screen. And I was disappointed we never got to see Schwimmer. And then hilariously, he's mentioned in the next movie as, oh, he left the role. Same with Tori Spelling. Like, no wonder they left for Stab 3.
Yeah.
So I love that. And also, I think Scream 2 also has a Jennifer Aniston reference. So at one point, I thought we were going to collect all Friends cast members in terms of getting a reference. But, there's still time. There's still hope. But I wanted to say my two more Dawson's Creek nuggets, and then we can move on, and so people don't leave us. But basically the Rialto at the beginning, the Rialto. We all know Cape Side has a Rialto theater, and then just the movie within the movie is, that's where we end with Creek as well. So anyway, that's the business. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't point out the Kevin Williamson ways. But let's see. Take me away, Kat. What's your next, like, I mean, let's talk about Randy because you love him. Randy's back.
Okay, before we talk about Randy, I just want to talk about how this movie is. I'm so impressed by this movie because of some of the behind the scenes things that I just like want to chat about because I really think they're kind of amazing. So this movie is actually rated on Rotten Tomatoes by like critics better than the original, which I kind of think is insane, but also I understand at the same time, like it's still a very good sequel, so I get it. But like this movie had 4 different scripts with 4 different potential killers, right? Because Kevin Williamson is very careful about like trying to really make it so that it doesn't get out, but it got out anyway. It was the first movie where like the ending was leaked onto the internet, so it like got completely ruined. They had to rewrite the entire thing. It got to the point where like Kevin Williamson was rewriting what they were already shooting. So like Wes Craven would have to like literally like execute like certain scenes on the fly without an actual script. And I just think for having all those issues, they were able to really bring something together. I don't totally love the reveal of the killers, especially one of them more than the other. When we get there, I'll explain. But overall, I think that what they came up with, considering, is still a really, really good film. Like that's very impressive to me.
Yeah, that's incredible, and I think I had known that, but like totally forgot. But like who? Well, okay, I have multiple questions, but one I want to say, I think that's a testament to like the art process, because I think they got to like let loose and play, because you can't really do anything else but that, right? There's so many hoops normally when making a movie, and so many different people have to say yes and no and all these different decisions. And it's sort of like, oh, we just have to make it work. And that's such a fun and exciting feeling. So, and I think the movie has that energy too. It doesn't, I don't know if we ever get like the Matthew Lillard energy, sort of like, like Timothy Oliphant, I think tries, or like he does his version, but it's not as good.
It feels too mimicky to me, It just feels. I want to go back. I don't want to talk about Randy. I don't want to skip over that, but like, it just feels too mimicky. I find him very annoying. He's just kind of like your basic white male douchebag. He has absolutely no motive, which again, like I know is supposed to be like scarier, but it's not to me. I don't know. It just doesn't really land. I do really love Laurie Metcalf's performance though, and I think that's a really, really interesting twist. So that I was on board with.
Yes.
I just didn't love Timmy Oliphant on that.
Yeah, Timmy Timmy didn't surprise me either. Like, he was on my short list. I will say there was a part during this movie where I thought maybe Rebecca Gayheart and Portia de Rossi were the killers working together, and I thought that would have been so cool.
That would have been a funny twist.
And mostly just because Rebecca Gayheart, I can't unsee as.
I mean, she's the killer in Urban Legends, so
yeah,
that
exactly.
would be, yeah.
Yeah, which I guess, spoilers if no one has seen it, but that would be, no, that's okay.
It's a 90s movie, I'm sorry if you haven't seen it.
That's okay. It's still good, even if you don't know that, or if you do know that. But I was going to ask you, we're going to get to Laurie Metcalf, because I think she's fantastic, and that was a really good twist. But I wanted to ask you, do you remember who was the original killer that they had to change it?
Okay, so they had 4 potential killers. So they had Cotton. Cotton was one of them. Haley, which is Sydney's best friend, was one of them.
Oh, okay.
I'm so glad they did not do that.
Yeah, that would have been bad.
Yeah, and then also we would have been deprived of that car scene, which is honestly one of the scariest scenes in the movie. That is such a good scene. They're really good with car scenes in this franchise. The third one was Derek, the boyfriend. They considered making him the killer as well. And then the fourth one...
Yeah, you could see that for sure, because it was sort of the Billy again. Yeah.
Right, and then the fourth one I think was always supposed to be... what's his face? Timmy Oliphant. He was always one of them. Yeah. So then they added in Billy's mom, which actually I think works better than any of the other ones they were considering. So like blessing in disguise, I guess.
Well, yeah, and it's like another like twist in that they're working together, and it's kind of fun that they do that 2 times in a row, but it's completely different. And it's also, you know, being Mrs. Loomis, it's a reference to the first Friday the 13th, like where the killer is the mom, not.
Which they mention in the opening scene of the first movie. So it's all very intertwined and it all works very well. And what I like is her motives make sense. They are shocking, even though you're a little bit in the beginning, you are questioning her a little bit to me, because I'm like, who is this woman just showing up in Gail's business? You know what I mean? But they do a good job of sort of making sure Gail is harassed by a lot of people. So it's not just... Oops, sorry. Okay.
Oh, no, you're back.
Okay, cool. I lost my... but it doesn't retcon anything. You know what I mean? Like, it keeps the original intact and just adds to the story. Whereas the third one, it becomes very convoluted and it totally retcons the original. And that is where, like, my major issue is. So that's why I like the Billy's mom thing.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, it all sort of fits into it. They're, like, adding a layer underneath.
Right.
Yeah, when Laurie Metcalf like came on, I was just so excited. I was like, "Oh, Lady
so
Bird!"
Good.
You know, and like I was so distracted by that I didn't actually really. She was annoying, but I didn't actually consider her, and I felt really stupid for not.
That's good though. That's great.
Yeah. Oh yeah. My favorite line in the movie was Gail talking to her, and it was, "Look, local woman." That was my favorite line. My other 2, Dewey saying, "I have some oozing to do" when he leaves. And then Portia saying, "Hi." No, I really mean that. Hi. Those are my 3 gold star lines in this film.
Well, excellent. My favorite line isn't really a line. It's a monologue of sorts. And I'm bringing it back to Randy because I'm always going to bring it back to Randy. But I love this man so much. Like, every moment he's on screen in this movie, he has just done justice so well. Like, he is just so smart, and I love that him and Sydney went to the same college, first of all. Their bond is, like, so great, and you can really see it. And you can see her bond with Dewey, too, in this movie, but, like, you really feel it with Randy. And, like, even though he kind of tries to play it off in the beginning that somebody's killing people again, you can tell he really cares about her, and he does take it seriously. And he's just such a good character. And when they have that phone call, or when he has the phone call with the killer, I mean, like, he just goes off on the killer, and it is so good. I love the delivery, and, like, everything about it is so perfect. And it's like, what a way to go out. Just, like, a verbal lashing of this serial killer, even though, you know, he doesn't make it in the end. But
no,
I read Kevin Williamson said that he had to die because you needed, like, those emotional stakes, right? And I completely understand and agree with that. Like, you need to know, like, that this is gonna hurt. Like, things are gonna really happen. Like, anybody can go, kind of thing. Oh,
sorry, it was an earthquake.
Is there a killer in your house?
Yeah, Ghostface. We're back.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, to this day, I'm gutted, pun intended, by Randy's death. But, like, I completely understand why it had to happen. It just was what it needed to be for, you know, the story at hand. But at least he went out really, really well. And I love the conversation in the room before Sydney gets there, in the classroom when they're talking, and Sarah Michelle Gellar has all these incredible things to say about film and entertainment and violence in the media, which I think is a really interesting commentary that they have in this movie. And then these douchebag, you know, basic white dudes are like trying to go off on her. But of course, Randy is the only elevated intellectual thinker that like agrees with the women and knows what's up. And I'm like, that's my boy.
Okay, all right. Enough Randy love. Let me see if I can slightly. I want to question Randy a little bit here. But first, I think that was peak Jamie Kennedy. Him on the phone when he's asked what his favorite scary movie is, and he says Showgirls. Incredible. And also, Showgirls is really scary movie. I will say, I'm not sure it's a bad movie, but it's because like I mean it's famously like terrible, right? But I think there's a lot going on in that movie. But that's a whole nother conversation I'm not ready to get into. But I just love someone bringing up Showgirls always. But, okay, so I think I feel more like about Dewey coming back for Sydney because Dewey doesn't have any other motives. Randy does say on multiple occasions how he is in love with Sydney, right? And it's like this unrequited love thing. And sure, he doesn't really he doesn't make moves, and he's not a bad friend to her because she's not reciprocating. It's more like he doesn't actually say it. He really just kind of says it to us, the camera, the audience. So I think that works better than what it could be. Like he's not like guilting her.
Yeah, I'm totally okay with it. Because he doesn't accept anything besides friendship from her. There's never even anything that even goes there, so it's fine. So you can't help who you love. You know, Sydney's a badass. Right. Why are you not going to love her? She's great.
Oh, no, of course. And so I do like, you know, sort of identify with that because that's who I, you know, was when I was 16 to whenever, you know, I'm still him, really. But like normally, but then I see the, you know, the grossness of that or the deserving, but this guy does not have that. You know, he does. And that is good. I just think that's why I like Dewey, though, better in terms of his connection with Sydney, because it just feels more pure. You know, there's no motive there. He's in his head in the clouds with Gail. And I just love Gail and Dewey so much. And I think that's just such an interesting thing because, again, the movie itself, like real life, David Arquette, Courtney Cox get married. They meet on the set of the first one. They get married in 99. So after the second one, this is in 97, and then they get divorced in 2010, right? And it's just like the melding of that too. Like they're losing themselves in the characters and in the role. And I find it fascinating. And I know that happens all the time when you're acting. You fall in love with your partners. And also they had like a kid in like a long relationship. So it wasn't just like, you know, the 6 months they were shooting or whatever. But
right,
like,
a showmance.
A showman, exactly. But it just seems to me so perfect to have happened on Scream because it's something that they would make fun of in the movie, and it's like actually real. But then they like play with that character, I think, because of that. Their will they, won't they, and I think the backstory makes it work that much more, and I'm there for it. And I think Dewey made the biggest level up in performance and role for me from Scream 1 to Scream 2. Like I didn't really care about Dewey in Scream 1. He did have my favorite line, but Scream 2, I thought David Arquette was great. And, you know, that he adds the limp and that someone's like, wait, didn't you just get stabbed in the back? Why? And he's like, nerve tissue or whatever it was. Like, I love that we have to, you know, explain why. But
I love him too. Totally separate. Just for me, it's not a Randy verse Dewey thing. It's just like I love Dewey as like I just want to like pinch his cheeks where like I would marry Randy in a second, but like it's just I love them both. And I mean we don't have very many men to adore in these movies, so it's like I'm gonna love every single one that we have and appreciate all of them. So you know, because we have a wide array from serial killer to just like kind of douchey, like all these dudes. So when they're good dudes, you got to appreciate. But I agree with everything you said about Dewey. That's totally true. And with him and Gail, they're great. And we get that incredible scene in this film where the plexiglass is between them. And Dewey gets stabbed because he has to get hurt in every movie. And
Yeah.
it just became like a thing for Scream, I guess. And it's so good. It's such a good scene. Like, it is, there are just a lot of really good horror scenes in this movie. This one is like really good for that. Like, the car scene is probably number one with Jada Pinkett's, and then the second one for me would be that plexiglass scene.
Yeah, let's talk about the car scene because you brought it up like a couple times, and I agree. That was, to me, the standout scene. I think I would put it above Jada Pinkett just because, like, it's not often you see that scenario play out. You know, you've seen so many car accidents, so many different things, and then just the idea that they have to escape past the and you
can feel it. You can feel it inside of you. Like, you feel the anxiety of them crawling over, and then once she gets out, then her friend Hallie needs to get out, and you're just like, oh my god, he's definitely gonna jump, but then he doesn't, and that makes it even better for me because you're just expecting it, but then they get away, and so, like, I don't know. I like that surprise, that twist. Right. But I mean, we didn't talk about the car scene in the first movie, but I really like that one too, where he has the keys and she's in the car and she has to go down with the locks because, I mean, maybe it's just being a woman, but like those kinds of things are like genuinely terrifying when you think about like walking to your car at night or, you know, and being approached by a creepy man. Like, when it's nighttime and I have to walk to my car, I'm always thinking about that. So to see a scene where you're like locked inside as a woman and there's this person, obviously we don't know if it's a man or a woman at this point, but it's like, just, I don't know, that's just something that resonates. So both of those scenes are very good to me.
I totally agree, and while I can't, you know, sort of identify in the same way, I can try and put myself
scary,
in there. But it's still scary. And also I think why a car is so scary too is that we spend so much of our lives there, right? And it feels kind of like a safe place, or like, you know, and I mean, cars can be dangerous in the fact that like there's power behind a car, but when you're behind the wheel, you actually kind of feel empowered too. And then, but if you've lost that space, that sacred space, it's terrifying. And there's a reason, like when you're 16, a car means freedom, right? And then, and now it's the other, like it's turned around. And like in the first one where he somehow unlocks the door from below, I don't know if that's possible, but it was a good bit.
And then he comes from the trunk. I mean, it's just all very good. It's all very scary and very good.
All scary and very good. Let's talk about Cotton. Cotton has a role here.
He does. Yep. I would say, I mean, I don't know how you felt watching it. Did you feel like maybe at the end he was going to shoot Sydney? I've seen Scream 1 and 2 and 4 so many times that I can't necessarily remember like what my feelings were in that moment, but I'm curious for you as someone who didn't really remember, like where was your mind when he had the gun towards Sydney?
I was 100%. I was 100% that he was the good person in that scene. Like he wasn't going to shoot Sydney. No. Yeah. Okay. Like he was too obvious throughout. Like when he was like really getting up in her business about Diane Sawyer. Like and this movie plays with those, you know, like who's the most obvious person all the time. And it's in such a good way where I'm like, wait, is this the obvious that I'm like red herring obvious? Or is it the obvious that's actually going to end up being, because it has been the obvious person. So they really fuck with you in these movies. They do. And I think that's really the only thing that's actually, to me, well, like the car scene is scary, but like what is scary is that we don't know who it is. You know, like in most slashers, I guess there's a mystery, but it's kind of like, we know Freddy Krueger, we know, you know, Jason, we know Mike Myers. They're just sort of always coming after you. The idea that Ghostface could be anyone, in each movie it's someone different, is kind of, that's the scary thing. And it's always someone
you know, which is like, actually, I think the tagline for the new movie, it's always somebody you know, which is what, and I think that's what you're saying. Like, it's always good because, Michael Myers is just like, we know who he is. We know his history. We know his story. Like, there's no, which one of these characters is it? I think that's half the fun, trying to figure out who it would be, you know? Yeah. In Scream 3, they even play with the idea of it being Sydney, which, like, is a lot, you know? But, I mean, they make some, as much as I don't like this movie, they do make some good arguments for it, and there is a theory that she's the killer in the new movie, so...
Ooh, you know? Like, does she have, like, a second personality or something?
Or I mean, they say in Scream 3, like, she just snapped, and, like... That's a good enough, I mean, think about everything she's been through, you know what I mean? Like, it kind of, you know, like, it would make sense. It wouldn't be too far of a reach. So, yeah, it's interesting.
I think we're about ready to then jump into Scream 3. It seems like,
Perfect.
but I wanted to. We haven't talked about Derek too much about, and I just wanted you like because you mentioned that Randy and Dewey are the only non-douchey men, so I'm assuming Jerry O'Connell lands in the douche category.
No. You know what? I honestly, he was just like so
Whatever. Yeah.
whatever. I just totally forgot about him. But yeah, he's a good guy. Whatever, cute guy. He's fine. But like, he just doesn't play like. I knew that he was never the killer because it's like he just didn't play enough of a part, and you're not going to do the same thing twice, right? And I think they realized that, so that's why they didn't really put too much energy into his character. But like they kind of had it there, like just in case, it could be anybody, kind of thing.
Right.
But, I mean, it was so clearly not him.
Yeah.
And he's fine. He's a good guy, but
I didn't like him. I thought he was.
You didn't like him.
No, but I don't think he's like a bad person. I mean, they did enough things in the movie to make us think that, oh, maybe he could be the person, right? Where he's just like sort of clingy or also like being mad when Sydney's like suspecting him and being defensive. And then I just don't like a romantic gesture where, you stand up and sing in front of everyone and put everyone on the spot. Like, would you like that? Would you like that, Kat?
What he did, I would probably think was cute. Like, if I was into him, like, if it was my boyfriend, or it was somebody that I was talking to, or if it was just some random person, I don't know, I'd be like, who is this dude? If it was something like a proposal, I would never want to be proposed to in, like, public like that. Like, no big, grand, like, on the Jumbotron proposals. That's just so not me. That's a personal, intimate moment, like, just you and me. But as far as like, I don't know, getting up, because I think about the movie 10 Things I Hate About You when Heath Ledger gets up and sings on the bleachers to Julia Stiles. I love that moment. I would be like swooning if I was already into the person. So it just depends.
Well,
Read the signals.
It's not black and white, and it's also like it's Heath Ledger, and
right.
But it's also like his character in that movie. It was such a big deal that he would do that it almost hits differently than if it's just this guy, because it feels like this is Jerry O'Connell. It's not that big of a deal. It's just sort of, oh, you're just being annoying Jerry.
It does, but I will say I think that it does make sense in the opposite sense that like Sydney is such a tortured character that like something like that may be exactly what she needs. Like she maybe needed someone who was going to do something dorky and silly and innocent and cute because her life is so tragic. Yeah. So like I appreciate it in that sense,
That's a great point. Yeah. He gave her his letters.
I mean, she was genuinely smiling and laughing. And how many times do you see Sydney doing that in the movie?
Yeah, like 3.
Any movie, the whole franchise.
Yeah, no, you're right. And
like 3 times.
And clearly that he means something to her because she's wearing his letters in Scream 3. I don't know if you caught that, but yeah.
I actually did not catch that.
Yeah, no, she has his letters on during the movie. So yeah, clearly.
I'm sure she feels guilt about that. And that's probably something a better movie would have, I don't know, talked about in continuity wise. But then we just decided to make this other random ass Scream 3 that just doesn't come together. But
oh,
whatever.
I think it comes together just fine. All right, why do you hate it so much? No, I
honestly there are so many reasons why I hate it that like I mean, I'm not gonna I just will have to just keep listing them as we have this conversation because I'll just be talking for 20 minutes. But even if we're just starting in the opening, like so many things like wrong with this. Like, first of all, we're not doing like our normal 2 people that we don't really know. Although I will say in Scream 2, we never found out how the 2 killed in the beginning connected to anybody, which I thought was a little bit of an oversight. Did I miss it?
Yeah, they do in a very sort of lame way where they like in the precinct they have names that are similar to the names that were killed in Scream 1 in the same order. Like there was a Stevens and a Carey was like in their name, so it was like following the order of the movie.
Okay, so there's at least something. I appreciate that. But okay, so yeah, in Scream 3, it's just like it's just cotton dyes. Like, all right, great. Like, I don't know. It's just kind of, and then there's the whole voice modulator of this movie is so dumb. I mean, give me a freaking break. Like, are you kidding me? We're getting on this thing and then somebody can all of a sudden change their voice to be exactly the voice of anybody in the whole world that they want it to be, including dead people. Like, that doesn't make any sense. It's not real. It's not based in reality. That really sucks. That takes away the scare factor. It takes away the stakes. And it's just, it's just stupid. I mean, it really, like, it did not land at all whatsoever for me. I felt like there was a buildup with Cotton, and then he just gets offed in the first scene of the third movie. It's like, what did we go through this for this growth, for this character? And then, I mean...
Well, here, let's slow down. Let's slow down and take these. Because, yeah, you're getting on the list, and I love it. I love all the passion. We got 100% Cat on here.
She's fired up.
That would be your talk show, 100% Cat. I love 100% Cotton. So yeah, I guess Cotton is the sort of the big name who dies in the beginning, and you're right.
It's not a big name, though.
No, I know, you're right. I mean, Liv Schreiber is now a big name. He wasn't, I don't think, in this movie, and also not really in the franchise. Your point about how we had this big build to him being something, and then it not really leading to anything, I agree with. But I also, I didn't care about Cotton, so I was okay. And I guess that's the point, right? Like, we want to care about the beginning characters, or we want to be invested. We want to care
about any character that dies, at least a little bit, and we barely know any of the characters that die in this movie, so...
That's a good, no, 100%. And I'm not going to argue with you saying that it's a good movie. I had fun with it though, because
that's fair.
And I don't know if I really care, like, good, bad, who knows what that even means. But I just think they had so much fun, and it makes sense that Scream 3 is in Hollywood, because these movies are such LA movies, Hollywood movies, and such about making movies and about horror movies and about the business, that to me, it's now addressing it in a much more forward way. And we get into some dark territory that we can get to in a bit. Are we all good?
Sorry. I'm like low power here. Sorry. Oh, shoot. Hold on. I'm trying to... Here we go.
Your hatred for Scream 3 is affecting your setup.
I know, right? Okay, we're good. Okay, so yeah, I just want to say I disagree with you there, because I think that one of the problems with Scream 3 is that it stops being referential about the horror genre at large and just begins being self-referential about itself, and I don't think that works. There's not really a ton of clever stuff about, horror at that time, and it just focuses in on all the things that happened in the past of its movies, and those things don't even really equal up. Like, first of all, why are we in Stab 3? Why are we not doing Stab 2? Shouldn't we be a movie behind the movie? Because Stab 3 is like the movie that we're watching right now. That doesn't even make sense to me. So it's like you could have had something so interesting where if the killer is killing all the people in the order that they get killed off in the movie, which I actually think is a really good idea, right, why not have it be Stab 2? So we're emulating these characters that we had already met. I think that's so much more interesting, and you care about those characters because even though they're playing roles of characters that have died, they're still in the lore that we've attached ourselves to, right?
Yeah, it's a shortcut to us caring about them, of course. Yeah.
Right, and the movie was supposed to be a lot darker, and they had to rewrite it because Columbine happened, so it was like this whole thing where they decided to be comedic, and I just don't think it lands most of the time. But that's just me.
No, I think that's fair. Well, and I think your point about it, like Stab 3, I had the same thought, and also the title of Return to Woodsboro. I guess it makes sense because we're at Sydney's set, like, home when it, and so that stuff lands to me when she's on the set and going through that again.
That actually is one of my favorite moments. Yeah.
But Stab 2, it even makes sense because they're referencing what you talked about with Scream 2, where they had to write all these different endings, and then we don't know. Not only was that like a fun in joke, but also makes it now we don't know who's going to be the killer, and it would make more sense if it was Stab 2 that they were talking about that with rather than Stab 3. I agree. And also I just feel cheated out of not knowing who was in the Stab 2 cast, because the Stab 3 cast is not as good, but they make a joke about that. We got Jenny McCarthy as probably the coolest, but I mean Emily Mortimer had the biggest probably rise since this movie. And she was the obvious, her and Patrick Dempsey, which, yay, Patrick Dempsey. Those were the two people that like were very obvious to me that I was like, are they teaming up? Are they doing it? And I did have the thought that Patrick Dempsey was actually the son of her mom. Like that was.
So you were connecting some dots there.
I did, but I didn't get to Scott Foley as the killer, but that actually made more sense as the director. I think Wes Craven is saying something about himself there. And also it connects to Dawson, if we want to get back to Dawson as the director. But like the filmmaker themselves sort of, I don't know, as a director, you are, you know, sort of manipulating people to do things for you in some way, in the base sense of the world. Obviously, everyone is signing up for this. But
I mean, it's not in just some sense of the word, though, and this is another major issue I have with this movie, is it, first of all, it goes back on the previous movie's stance on entertainment and media and basically blames media for violence. Whereas in the second movie, we were cleverly and intellectually saying you cannot blame entertainment on people killing other people. That's not fair to say, oh, this person wouldn't be a killer if they had played these video games. Like, that's insane. So, like, to go completely back on that and base an entire movie on the fact that, I don't know, it just
well, no,
so
I don't
messy.
Well, it is messy, but I don't think they argue that, because it ends with Sydney, or wait, is that Scream 2? I might be melding it together. Yeah, probably. But like, doesn't she at one point say, oh yeah, like you're the one doing the killing, no one else is. That's to Timothy Olyphant, not to Roman.
No, you are right about that, because I think they're trying to give like this immediate brother-sister relationship to them within like the 3 minutes that they have together on screen. So they have this little like brother-sister argument or whatever, like what. But what I was trying to say is a big issue I have is with how they deal with like the sexual misconduct and stuff, because the way that Roman approaches everything and his reasons for rage, and then we find out that Sydney's mom was raped by his dad and stuff like that. But then he has mechanically slept with actresses just so that they could get roles that they wanted, and it's never really dealt with. It's just thrown out. And then the fact that you have Harvey Weinstein as a producer on this movie, it's just like very icky, and it doesn't land to me. And it feels like they go back on the empowerment that they had of especially the first movie, where I just felt like the narrative was very clear in the fact that this was not Sydney's mom's fault. And I don't think that they completely, I think they kind of muddle that in this movie, and that's an issue for me.
I 100% agree, and I think that is the problem with this movie for sure. And I was wondering when the W word was going to come up, because like, the Weinstein brothers are they're the producers, Miramax, and it's very clearly Miramax movies. I mean, they're playing on my childhood, you know, in adolescence when Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. That, or like, they show up. That almost blew my mind. It's a good
cameo.
I could
I'll
not.
give it that.
I was just like, oh my God, how is this movie existed? That was when I texted you. I was like, how have I never seen this movie? Because like, they were a big part of my life, which is, and I have to reckon with that, because there's a lot of problematic things in those movies too. And I think, I think it seemed like they were asking some interesting questions, but, or like even the backstory of like, maybe they were trying to like out our, you know, the Weinsteins or something. Like, maybe there was some awareness of what they were trying to do, but they couldn't quite do it. And yeah, you're right. I think it made Sydney's mom out to be sort of not like kind of, culpable, or just like, we don't, instead of feeling really, really terrible. And I mean, that's how I am. I'm just like, this is so fucked up. But it's very cynical though, I think, about Hollywood, about like, you know, when they're talking about the money, Lance Henriksen, like saying like, this is what Hollywood's all about. You know, you have to fuck to get your role. And like, clearly the movie is saying that, how fucked up that is. And maybe what they're saying is that Roman becomes that evil, having sort of been born into it. But I mean, it's not as interesting as if he was maybe trying to combat that. But I guess because he never got the life that Sydney had, it sort of warped his, you know, it goes back to this, oh, he's just nuts. But like, to me, that's lazy or not as interesting. And like, we could have done something really, I mean, really bold, I think, with this movie. And
I completely agree. And I think that we could have really done more with his dad. And like, yes, his dad gets his like throat slit or whatever, so he's a goner, so rapey bad guy, bye. But like, I just don't think it delves enough into that. And I think, like, I don't know, again, I just think it like makes Sydney's mom the villain like too much. Like, all of a sudden now she's this woman who just left a baby, when like, I don't know, that just doesn't sit right with me. And even Sydney in this movie is like, starts to question if it's her mom's fault. And like, You know,
Yeah.
that's not the story that we want to be telling, and obviously that would never be written now, and it would be handled totally differently. I just like I see like through the weeds that there's something that they were trying to say, but I just think it was executed so
Oh,
poorly. And I also I'm not a big fan of retconning the original, so I don't like that there was somebody else behind Billy's motives. Like, I don't know, I don't like when you touch an original thing. Like, it's not that big of a deal, but it's like, and I love Scott Foley's performance. I love Scott Foley. I think he does a great job. But it's just like, I haven't sat with this character long enough for him to have like earned that, where like, I'm like, oh my God, it was him the whole time. You know, that doesn't feel, this isn't a TV show where I've known this person for 3 seasons. I just met him, you know? So
right. And the other
work
people
as
you
well.
kind of do have that TV show vibe.
Right.
And that's a good, I agree with that too. And I think I normally am more forgiving on, you know, sort of retcons or just, you know, taking leaps and things, because I mean, if I'm buying a ticket to, and I'm not in this case, I'm just getting a free trial to Stars, but like, I sort of know that everything's on the table to, like, you know, I mean, the Marvel movies are having fun with multiverse and doing all these different things. And there is a way to do basically anything you want in movies. And that's why I
Right.
love them. But yeah, so to me, I don't hold Scream as sacrosanct like you do. Right. So I'm just sort of like, well, if it had landed, I would have been totally fine with it. And it's really not the effort like of them changing it didn't upset me. It's more like, oh, we could have done better with this. But I think it's sort of like they're trying to do it. And I actually sort of commend Scream for how they build the world and how they sort of are playing with it. Because there is like an intense mythology now. Now it's fucked up though, and like sort of annoying. So I'm very curious. And judging by how much you like Scream 4, it feels like they're going to sort of maybe either right some wrongs or sort of recenter what these movies are about.
I mean, they definitely do. I mean, again, this is the only movie that's not written by Kevin Williamson. And I'm not saying that nobody in the entire world could ever write Scream besides Kevin Williamson, but it's like when you have, you know, now we're going to have 5 movies, when there's one single one that's not written, you know, and this one won't be directed by Wes Craven. So there's always going to be somebody missing now. But like,
right.
I don't know. It's just so clear to me that this isn't his voice. And I just think that he has sensitivity in areas that this writer maybe didn't, and would have been able to execute this better if he had been on board for this. But I mean, that's just something we'll never really know. But
yeah, he was doing
also,
Creed. He was doing Creed.
I mean, I think the fact that they didn't do another Scream for 10 years says something about how this was received. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like
yeah,
they did
yeah.
1, 2, 3, and then we had to wait a whole decade before we can make another one. So I don't know. And then we only have Sydney on screen for like less than an hour, and it takes her an hour to even meet up with the other duo to be a trio. And then she's sitting in a police officer. I counted the minutes because it always bothers me. 20 whole minutes she's in that police.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Thing. 20 minutes of the movie, she's just sitting there, timeout, because Nev Campbell had like 20 days to film, so that's another issue. It's like it just keeps rolling for me. And
no,
then
yeah, you're killing it. Keep
I'm
it
sorry,
going.
Dewey's job on Stab, like Dewey would ever work for Stab. Like, are you kidding me? He would never do that to Sydney. Like, he would never ever do that. We just were talking about how great and how much he loves her, and then he's gonna go work like a smarmy. Come on, don't do Dewey like that. He would never do that.
That's a good point. That's a good point. And the biggest point is you know, this is the worst movie for Courtney Cox's hair, I would say.
Oh, it's
overall.
rough. I think she would agree.
It's a rough hair movie. But what I've, I think, learned the most, I want to say, about, or not learned the most, but like watching these two, and I think why I had so much fun with them more than you in terms of 3 especially, is that it was new for me, and that discovery and getting to see these characters again, that I'm sort of developing that love that you already have for them. And I'm getting to see these actors play and flesh out their character. And I think you're right that, like, yeah, maybe Dewey wouldn't have done that, but we have to make we got to make some moves to make them all show up. After watching 6 seasons of Gossip Girl, like, I get it. You know,
but if you're writing a major motion picture,
it should be better.
You at least have to be smart about it. Like, be smart. Your movie is known for being smart. So get a writer that can do it and be smart. And I'm so sorry to this man, but like, just be smarter. Like, write it better. You know what I mean? Like, and if he couldn't have done it, then get somebody else. And I get that the Columbine thing totally twisted things, but you can still write the parts where they all come together in a more organic way than like I mean, it's just all so lame to me in 3, not in 2.
Right. Well, I would say I almost 100% believe it's not the writer's fault, because this is probably a movie that had like 8 different writers and 8 different people that like had to rewrite. Or am I wrong? No, there's no rewrites.
Aaron Krueger, the writer.
Just him? There was no, but we know, Kat, that just because it says that, there's other people in the room. There's other people, and also like what we were saying, maybe they were poking the bear. They're getting to the fucking Weinsteins, and maybe they shut it down. I have no idea.
I mean, the Weinsteins
probably
are
not.
producers on all the Scream movies, so yeah. I don't see that being the case. I mean, Skeet Ulrich has said like everybody pretty much knew what Harvey Weinstein did, and nobody did anything about it. So, I mean, you know, we don't know what happened behind the scenes, but I don't think this movie is good enough to say that it was poking the bear at Harvey Weinstein, because to me, it just ends up with Maureen looking like a villain, and that's not okay. Like,
I agree. And I think maybe I'm just trying to be, I just want the writer to, like, I want to believe in the writer, because as a writer,
I understand. I get it.
But I think you're obviously more well versed in this. I'm just trying to, I guess, poke holes in your bullets, but they are bulletproof, baby. You're killing it here.
This one, I mean, this is a franchise that I'm pretty like solid on my information, but it's not always that way.
I love it.
But I will say something that I liked. If you want me to point out something that I like, I think Parker Posey is brilliant in this film, and I think her and Courtney Cox that's the only comedy that I think is incredible in this movie. They are so good on screen together. I loved every second of that plot. She was so good. I love her.
Oh yeah, two Gales investigating was so good, and I agree.
So good.
Yeah, Parker Posey wins the movie, I think, for sure, and I totally agree. And in terms of and you did mention the voice modulating thing, and I agree with you. I mean, it was just so overused to the point where it was just ridiculous. But also, I mean, it's sort of taking it to the nth degree of like the phone, and they sort of had some of that in Scream 2 and tricking people with who it is. Because like, I mean, even the first one, obviously they had a voice modulation device.
Right, but that just like made it to a weird voice.
Right.
This person was able to emulate specific
which is insane. Which is a really scary deepfake type thing. Yeah.
Right. And then also it's sloppy in the sense that there's only one killer in this movie. And there are some scenes where it is impossible that there is only one killer. And they don't even, and then they choose only one killer for the first time in the whole franchise up to this point, you know?
I wanted Angelina to be involved, to be honest. But she was, I mean, very obvious, but I sort of liked her backstory, and also maybe the whole like she admits that she had to sleep with the guy to get the part, but if like that was part of her motivation of like killing,
that would have been so interesting.
Yeah,
you know, and that would have said a lot more than the movie ended up actually saying. So I'm with you on that. See, you already just came up with something better. So come on.
Well, thank you. I got 1 point from Kat on this entire conversation here. Did you enjoy Carrie Fisher? We gotta at least give a nod to Carrie.
Wait, where was Carrie Fisher?
She's in. Carrie Fisher, like Princess Leia, is in Scream 3. She's the person in the like the file thing. She's the file clerk who finds the Rena photos.
Oh yeah! Oh my God! I mean, like, I like Star Wars, and I love Carrie Fisher. She was a queen. She always will be. R.I.P. But like, it's not something that I like am gonna geek out over. So it's not like, it's not my like number one thing. I was honestly, Scream 2 is more of a for like all the famous people for me, because it was like all the young '90s actors, which are people that I still geek over. Like Sarah Michelle Gellar, like I will never not see her on screen and be like. Like, you know. Oh, sorry.
No, you can't top Buffy and Pacey in the same scene. Like that blew my mind, because like, and I'm like, I couldn't have forgotten this scene. I must never have seen this before, or I saw it before I watched both of those shows, which is also possible. And
can we just give props to Sarah Michelle Gellar, who did the movie without even reading the script first, because she knew Kevin Williamson was going to do a good movie. She only had a little time in between Buffy seasons, and she was like, I haven't even read the script, I don't care, I'll do it.
That's amazing. And she knew she didn't need to read the scripts.
Right. She knew it was going to be good. And it was.
Part of me was like, oh, I just wanted her to beat the shit out of Ghostface, and that was the end of the movie. Like, just like cuts his head off. But let's see. Let's do a couple of fun things. Well, first off, I'm hoping we don't see McDreamy in Scream 4, because he does show up at the end, like they're watching a movie together. and the door is open. Yeah, yeah. I don't. Yeah, I figured not, but like, because he's not cool or interesting enough, and also
if you know he's not the killer, then you can't have her like have the same boyfriend from that. I mean, it would bog her down too much. So no.
She can have a bag of his hair that she keeps around in this next movie.
Oh God!
If you're gonna keep anything from Patrick Dempsey, it's those
beautiful locks, right?
Those luscious locks. Okay. We have to do Fuck, Marry, Kill one more time now, but this is now with the 2 and 3 movies. So
are we doing them separately, or are we doing the whole? Are we combining the two?
What do you think? What do you think's more interesting? Probably we can separate them, just because I don't want to sully Scream 2 with Scream 3 in your mind. So, and let's do it quick. Okay. We can do it quick here. Okay. So, do you want me to start because I'm the sadistic person that wants to do it for some reason?
Sure.
I don't know if I have one. I mean, Mary Pacey. No, okay. I'm talking about the. Am I talking about the actor, or am I talking about the character in the movie?
Yeah, I think you were talking about Josh Jackson. You're not talking about this idiot guy in college.
Okay, then you're right. Okay, then maybe it's enough that I would fuck him. Okay. So at least I could like.
We all have regrets. That's fine.
Yeah. No, I don't. I think it would be. Let's see. Well, no, I want to marry Sarah Michelle Gellar. Although this character, I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't think I can answer the question. I'm too bogged down in who they are in my head.
I'm fuck Sarah Michelle Gellar because her character isn't really that bad. She's smart. She's intelligent. And she's gorgeous. So
yeah.
Her. Well, I can't remember her name in the movie because she dies very quickly, but her.
It's just it's Buffy. That's fine. And then probably kill. I mean, obviously Timothy Olyphant, easy.
100%. He's got to go. He was so annoying to me. I'm sorry.
And then I guess obviously you're still marrying Randy in Scream 2. Oh, we didn't.
And technically, I could marry him in 3 because he does have his little cameo.
Did you like that? Because they did talk about kind of some rules, but they were stretching it.
Okay, so that's exactly the thing. So, okay, obviously, if he comes up on my screen, I'm going to love it, right? It was probably one of the best parts of the movie for me, but I will say these rules, were they actual horror rules this time, or just rules that pertain to the movie? This movie. You know what I mean? Like, they just made up rules that worked for this movie. Like,
yeah. Oh, sorry, go.
I mean, no, it's just like in all trilogies, like, forget the past. It doesn't exist. I don't know if that's true I wouldn't say that's true for all trilogies. Actually, the past comes up. I don't know. I think that's very much not true. And like, and everything changes and the person never dies in the third one, no matter what. I mean, that's kind of true. If you're thinking about Halloween, it's true for all of them. I don't know. Like, it just didn't work. It wasn't as smart, but I still loved him. So it was fine.
Yeah, no, I think some of the rule about the past, I don't think it was saying that the past doesn't matter, was that we learned something new that we thought was, we learned something different about what we thought was true. Right. And I mean, that did happen in this movie. And I think that is kind of true in a trilogy, but it's not always the case. It's actually probably in that second movie. So yeah, it was more lazy done. And the things about like how it's more carnage, more body count, that's actually just a sequel. I wouldn't say that's the third movie in a trilogy. And also, like you said, there's not a lot of horror trilogies because even this one is trying to say that it's now the third final one. And I mean,
which it isn't. But...
It is. Well, obviously I know it isn't. And when you're watching this, maybe you do think it is, and that's what pisses you off even more. Although they do literally leave the door open at the end of the movie. So that
I did like that. I thought that was nice.
I think that to me was like, well, yeah, that means in 11 years we'll have another one. But in 2 days, we're going to have a conversation about Scream 4. I mean, I don't know. Do you want to really quick do a Fuck, Marry, Kill for Scream 3 or?
Yeah, we can do one. I don't. Okay, fuck on Scream 3. You Patrick Dempsey. I guess I should marry him. I don't know. No, I'll fuck Patrick Dempsey. I'll marry Sydney because she's such a badass, and I'll kill everybody else because I except Gail and Dewey because I don't care about any of the characters.
That's a great answer.
Parker Posey can survive.
Oh yeah. No, I would have sex with Parker Posey. I would marry Sid, and I would kill. I mean, yeah, Lance Henriksen and Scott Foley. But like you said, anyone else can die. I don't really give a shit.
No
Yeah.
emotional investment in any of those people, so whatever.
Yeah. Although maybe I would marry Jay and Silent Bob, and I could be in a throuple with them.
There you go.
That would satisfy 15-year-old Andy, but probably not 33-year-old Andy. So, and that's who's speaking for me now. I think I'm like really excited to watch number 4 now, and thank you for. I feel like I was way more kind on Scream 3 than I should have been, and thank you for putting me in my place. No,
I wasn't trying to come for you. I was just trying to come for the movie because I mean, if people love it, that's great. Do you? But like, this is just my personal feat. You know.
You heard it. You heard it here. No one can like Scream 3. You're not allowed. And no, I agree with you is what I'm saying. You don't have to apologize or backpedal. I'm saying I agree with you. You convinced me. You're right. You have seen the movie far more times than me. And I am probably never going to see Scream 3 again. But Scream 4, we will come back to all of you at 4 p.m. Pacific time on Thursday. That's the 13th of January. And then I believe, Kat and I are going to be running off to see the 5th one right after that. So please tell your friends, tell all your Ghostface compatriots out there, and join us. And we are doing this in conjunction with the fundraiser for the YWCA organization. They are in specifically the greater LA area, because that is where Kat and I live. We would love to be doing this together, but COVID. And so, but yeah, that organization is a nonprofit dedicated to helping stop domestic violence, which is, I mean, addressed poorly in this film, Scream 3. But I think YWCA does it a little bit better. So if you can spare anything, I know times are tough. You can find information on either of our Instagrams. And yes, going forward, the question I have for us late is, at the end of this, is Sydney the best final girl of all time? That's where I'm heading. I'm like, I don't know yet, because we have to get to the end here, baby. We gotta go. I don't know.
He's the ultimate. I already know the answer, but yeah.
I mean, I still have a couple other thoughts. So, but I mean, okay, that's the one we're gonna keep that on that's our North Star. Sydney is our North Star, of course. It all comes back to Neve Campbell. Well, to me, it comes back to you, Kat. Thank you for making me watch these movies. And
my pleasure.
Really glad we got to do this. And thank you all for showing up and tuning in and screaming with us. Kat, are you a little bit more comfortable screaming today? No, I'm kidding.
No, because I don't want my neighbors to think I'm being murdered.
All right, I will
be good neighbors.
I will do my scream, and then you can hang up on me right after that. Ready, set.
My pleasure.
Ah!